Hi, my name is Chris, and I am with Connecting Local Business. Today, we want to go into a little bit of information about website accessibility. So if you have a website, whether it's business related or personal blog, you might want to be aware of some changes that may be occurring in the next year or so, especially if you live in California. We have changes here where I live that will require everyone the ability to access your website. So what does that mean? So that means we need to start thinking about accessibility. Accessibility is not a new concept in terms of websites. People use the internet daily, which requires the use of tools needed for accessibility. They may use like a screen reader to read the text to them. Maybe they watch videos, but they need the captioning to tell them what the video says. So if you think about it, there are millions of people using tools to access websites, and we have to start thinking about that as we're building and publishing our site and our blog posts or anything like that. So it's user-friendly for everyone. Accessibility is not new in terms of website development. Guidelines have been available for many years and are continuing to be upgraded and updated. The ADA does recommend using these guidelines, and there are even more specific ones if you're a government site or have government contracts. But what does that mean for a small business owner who may manage their own website? It just means we have to be cognizant of how we're updating our site, so anyone who comes to our business will be able to use it. Whether that means they're reading an article or they're completing an order, each step should be accessible to that person. So I'm going to share with you 5 tips that you can use to make sure what you're putting out is accessible. And you can use these tips to go back into your site and start making some really important changes. Also, if you go over to my website, I'll link it in the below. I have a checklist that you can use as well, connectinglocalbusiness.com, and it is called 5 Tips for Website Accessibility on my blog. So you can go over there and grab that. So let's take a look at some information here. So let me flip over my screen here for you. And so 5 tips for website accessibility. The first one is going to be headings. Okay, so this is an example right here of a heading. So this is my WordPress application. And so you can see we have headings. Style headings are consistently used to aid in the navigation of the page and the post. So heading styles are used so that the levels, which are H1, H2, H3, etc., and maybe they're called styles depending on your website builder, like GoDaddy, Squarespace, they may call them styles instead of headers or headings. You want to make sure that they're used in order and they're nested correctly, meaning, oh, I've got a duplication here, meaning that that you're using them from biggest to smallest in specific order. H1 is the title of the page or the post, and it's automatically applied unless you need an additional title somewhere. H2 really is where most people start with their first heading, like this one here is a heading, and it's an H2. So you can see that heading 2. You can see the nesting here. You can use as many H2s as you want, but don't skip sizes. Don't have a 2 and then go to a 4 or a 6 because you like the font style. Sometimes I see that in template builders. They'll have a really cute font style in H4, but when a screen reader reads it, it doesn't make sense to the person, and it doesn't give them that proper flow of your page. So that's very important in there. Another one is fonts and formats. Okay, fonts and formats, which would be like bold, italics, etc. we don't want to necessarily use colors and fonts for emphasis instead of a heading. Okay, so if you want to bold something, that's fine, as long as it's not used in terms of in place of a heading. Also, make sure that you're using easy to read fonts. Here's a few listed here. And keep the number of fonts on a page changes, different fonts, to no more than 3 to make it easy to read and navigate. Sizing should be, they recommend like 14, no smaller than 12 to 14. I like 16. You know, it's going to be up to you and the font that you're using so that it is not, we don't want it teeny tiny. We don't want 10s and 8s, 10s and 11s because they're very, very small to read. And then heading size should be a minimum of 16 to 18. Links, okay, this is tip number 3. Links are embedded with a meaningful, unique text, which is called a hyperlink. So here's one up here. Let me scroll up. This is a hyperlink right here. It's meaningful. People know what they're clicking and what they're going to be getting. Okay, they're getting a checklist, so they know that when they click that, that's what they're getting. Avoid phrases like click here, read more, here's the link, something like that, because the screen reader will let that person know it's already a link. So it's kind of a redundant pieces. Also, I kind of recommend that the links do not open to a new page. And because people using those screen readers may not see that second page opening up. So that's just kind of a tip on that. Lists are great and easy for people to scroll through. Getting the bulk of the text, you know, a lot of people skim. So we want to make sure that we're using lists and that you're using a list in bullet or the number list tool and not formatted manually, like you put a star there or something like that. Use the actual list tool that's built into your builder. Alt text. This one here is super, super important. Alt text, and this is where I would definitely start if I was making changes to my site. This is used on all images, graphics, documents, slide decks, etc. Anything that you're embedding into your web page. It's a short description of the image or object that you're including. Okay, so what this means is that the screen reader reads it to the user of your site. They may not see the image, but they can get a description of that image. So I will show you that in just one moment. Alternative text also does not include words like image of, picture of, file extension, you know, something like that. You don't want the .jpeg in there. Always name your image before you upload it and resize it before you upload it. It's really going to save you some time. So let's take a look at what alt text looks like. Here's one image right here. So when I click on that, it opens up to the sidebar here. And this is your alternative text. It is a description of the image. So accessible keys on a keyboard with the word, quote, in quotations, 5 tips for website accessibility. Okay, so that is just right here on my builder. But if I'm uploading it into my media library, let's take a look at what that looks like. So if here's my media library, here's my alternative text, the title, this was already titled when I pulled in the image, and then a description of a little bit longer description of that. Okay, so this is also very important areas to fill in. I have an additional plugin, and so I also have the option to mark something as decorative. So meaning that if it really doesn't enhance, you know, if it's like a picture of a background or something, they don't necessarily need to know what that image is. You know, if I have something swirly blue in the background, I can just mark that as a decorative piece. Okay. So very, very important in the alt text. Alt text also has a lot of helps with the searches as well on search engines. So it's a very important piece in there. Also within that, and this is like number 6, and I'm giving you an extra here, video and audio transcripts using closed captioning. So your videos you want to make sure you turn on the captioning, and you can make, if you can edit them, that's even better. If it just don't rely on auto generating caption, maybe go in and edit if necessary. Also make sure that the player does not set to autoplay. Let the user play it by themselves, okay? If you can get transcripts on there, that's awesome as well. You can add it. So if I was going to add this video to this post, which I probably will, I'll also include a transcript that someone can download and read it instead of watching the video. Okay. I also have a couple of things in here about WordPress, of how to use WordPress. If you want to head over and read the rest and actually read the post here. But make sure to come on by, grab that checklist, maybe sign up for my emails, my email list, so that you're getting all the tips and tricks in terms of websites and digital marketing pieces. And I appreciate you being here, and thanks for watching.